the children and the teachers at Oranje School are sitting down outside because of the heat in their classrooms. I really thought that the classrooms had all now gotten their air cores already and the laptops that were promised. But clearly, Orion School seems to have been the forgotten one, or one of the forgotten ones. And I call, calling on government don't make no sense. So I ain't even going there. But maybe there are some business people, some contractors that have done a lot of good work during the year, that maybe one of them can adopt, or together they can adopt the Oranje School and get air conditions bought and placed. So install them one time, because buying and giving it to them will still put a cost in the school. Maybe if you can have them installed, even if it's a few classrooms, the real hot ones, whatever. I think if that can be done, I think the children and the school teachers and everybody will be very, very happy, Not everything is politics. This is not politics. This is, you see in a picture, a video circulating now of school children sitting outside of their classroom in front by the school because it's too hot to go into the classrooms. It's unfortunately a very sad situation. But sometimes when we talk, they're making everything is politics. No, it's not politics. It's humanity. It's looking at it from a different angle. Some people, the only lens they have is a political lens, especially those Facebook profilers that are fake profilers. But I'll get to that in the closing. You all can remember Vineyard Heights? You can remember the verdict? You can remember my talk show? When I told the minister he has absolutely no clue what the verdict said? And he was pounding his chest. I beat Myers and I do this, and a great victory for country St. Martin. Well, let me tell you something, little boy. I'm happy you come back yesterday. So you could hear me tell it to you now. You screwed this country. Because the verdict, as I told you, would be disastrous, has now become disastrous. Because the notaries put the brakes on signing of any deed for land and long lease. And you know why? Because, quite simply, the verdict said that if the land wasn't given off in accordance to good governance, which is clearly defined, proper smoky pipe. Because the judge also said the notaries can't turn a blind eye. They have an obligation to ensure it was done correctly. And as such, all notaries came together and said they're done with this craziness with you. You giving your friends and family land, not in accordance with good governance. They're done with that. And if you want a parcel of land passed, you're going to put in writing that you followed all the rules of engagement. And then they will pass it. Because if you didn't, you committed forgery. And then you're backside in trouble legally. So, finally you might wake up now, because you can't pass no land. And I'm happy that the Ombudsman made that abundantly clear to Parliament, to all your partners in there that came out to protect you. Because, you're doing it all so good, and everything is... No, they knew you were not doing it good. But again, when the Ombudsman wrote a report, you thought you were smart, and you were going to block that report by going to courts, because the previous report nearly got you fired. Problem is this. No need to get fired, You'll be there till the end of the term. Nobody can walk away anyway. We can pretend we can walk away. Everybody gonna start fighting each other just now anyway after nomination day. So, ain't a big thing. But the bottom line is, your wings are clipped when it comes to land. Because if you make that mistake to give without making sure it was published, and everybody had a chance to write in, and the criteria to comply, etc., etc., if you don't do that, grab a smoky pipe.
want to thank you for being here today. This is possible because of you. I talked for a long time about putting this conference together, but I knew it was not just a mental health conference. As we look in our community today, there's so much happening in terms of mental illnesses. So we know that persons are having a hard time coping. And for many years, I wondered, what are we doing wrong? Until I finally came to the conclusion that it is not working because it's not being done in a holistic manner. We are spirit, soul, and body. And so anything that we would have to address would have to be addressed from spirit, soul, and body, or it won't work. And so as we look in our community today, we see so many different relapses and cycles. So year after year, today you're good for a year, next year around the same time, you're triggered again. And that is because the issue was never dealt with holistically, right? And so, for that to happen, like I said, we are spirit, soul, and body. And this conference came about because I work very closely with Zoya, and so we have conversation all the time. And I said to her on many occasions, herself as well, this is not working because we're trying to take a framework from somebody else and try to place us in that framework. And so there are so many questions as to why, when in terms of mental illnesses, that's what we're seeing, why the approach is not working for us. There's a lot of different reasons. But I want to say this today, it is not working for us because when we hear about mental illnesses, we see psychiatrists, psychologists, medication, and that's about it. So what we deal with is the consequences, but we never really deal with the cause. What is the cause of mental illnesses? And the cause are different for everybody. There's different factors, okay? Some is rejection, some is abandonment, some is rape, some is molestation, some is substance use, some is chemical imbalances. And so we never really hear that when we go to our psychiatrists and psychologists. Nobody really say, hey, you're experiencing suicidal thoughts because there's a neurotransmitter that is not working, right? And so how do we get that connection, spirit, soul, and body? And I'm going to teach you how, okay? So that connection happens, of course, yes, thanks. That connection happens, of course, through chemical. So there's a picture here of the guts, brain axis. That's what we call it in psychology, the guts and brain axis. So the guts, our number one, brain, and then of course the brain and our head. So there's a communication that happens there daily. Next slide, please. How does this connection take place? Through nerves and chemical impulses, our guts and brain are constantly communicating. They're so close that they can feel one another's discomfort. If there's a disorder that affects either your digestive or your neurological system, it will impact your overall health. I'm going to break that down. In our body, there's a nerve that is called the vagus nerve. It is one of the longest nerves. It is one of the longest cranial nerve in your body. So what does that nerve do? Through nerves and chemical impulses, it communicates with the brain. Okay? So the food, before I go there, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. How does this connection take place? Okay, so we went over how this connection takes place. And then we see a word that stood out here to us, neurotransmitter. Anybody in here know what's a neurotransmitter? Yeah? No, you know. Anybody else know what's a neurotransmitter? No? A neurotransmitters are chemical that can be transported between our neurons are brain cells, via synapses to carry a message to control behavior, emotion, memory, and behavior, emotion, and memory. So 80% of those neurotransmitters are found in our guts. They are our serotonin, glutamate, GABA, and dopamine. These are the neurotransmitters that we will find in our guts.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
During the hurricane season, a potential tropical cyclone can produce rainfall that can cause flash flooding and rockfalls. Stay away from flood-prone areas during heavy rainfall, such as Jump Up Casino on Emil Plain Road in Phillipsburg, ATLH Road Roundabout, L.B. Scott Road from Emilio Wilson Park until Cake House Supermarket, Zaker's Gut from Petro Plus gas station until the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Welcalaken Road K Hill from Welcalaken Road Roundabout until the One-Tete Loke Roundabout, Beacon Hill Road from Sunset Bar and Grill until the beginning of White Sands Road, and Rhine Road, also known as Mullet Bay Road, after Sonesto Maho Beach Hotel to the entrance of Cooper Coy from the intersection of the University Drive until the intersection of Rio Grande. For more information on how you can keep yourself and your family safe this hurricane season, visit stmartingolf.org/hurricane. This public service announcement is brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
Mr. Chairman, the main responsibilities of this, what we would like to become a permanent committee for agriculture, fisheries, and animal husbandry, is the parliamentary oversight, coordination of and reporting on the sustainable development of agriculture, fisheries, and animal husbandry on St. Martin. Mr. Chairman, I want to stand still for just a moment by this part here. So the scope of work that involves what would be expected of Parliament and this committee in particular. My colleague, MP Grisha Heiliger, already referred to the fact that there is an agriculture policy of government, not of 2 years ago, not of 4 years ago, of less than 1 year ago. And a lot of consultations were held to come to that policy. I would suggest to our Secretary General, for the purpose of the Committee for Agriculture, Fishery, and Animal Husbandry, to share that report. It is a public report on agriculture, fisheries, and animal husbandry as commissioned by the government of St. Martin, with statistics and the like. And why do I bring up this report and think it is so important? This committee does not have to reinvent the wheel where collecting information is concerned. We have it there before us. In fact, what we see is that there have been, in December of 2022, there were some short-term measures proposed to be taken in the context of this committee's task, short term. What we see when a framework is not acknowledged as such, we see incidental and sporadic action undertaken that then cannot be measured as to a goal. If we have a goal, for example, the 25% goal, we need to know where we start, what measures to be taken, and see if we are reaching our goals. Otherwise, it will be exactly that, a little incidental thing here, a little one-day seminar, whatever the case may be. But it is not, you can't measure it in terms of what we would like to see and the improvement where food security and the like are concerned. So we have that basis. It's not of this parliament to execute the program. That's of the government. Yes, we can hold hearings and consultations, but the execution of it. But what this committee can definitely do is control, as I said, parliamentary oversight on the execution of a program if we can agree with the general outlines of the program. So this committee actually has a document that you can start running with in terms of making sure that some of the actions, some of the stakeholders that are mentioned, that these matters can take place, and the parliament would then be required to make sure, this committee would be required to make sure that the action is taken in the way that is expected.
The minister delegate in charge of the overseas territories, Philippe Vigier, made his first official visit to Saint Martin on Wednesday. He was welcomed at L'Esperance Grand Cars Airport by the prefect of the Guadeloupe region, Xavier Lefort, and the delegate prefect of the Ile du Nord, Vincent Berton, and president of the Collectivité de Saint Martin, Louis Mussington.
The purpose was, like I said earlier on, he was on a fact-finding mission. He did Guadeloupe, and now he came to St. Martin. Saying that, it tells you that as a new minister in charge, he's paying attention to what is happening to us, while our plan of action, especially our investment program for the next 4 years. And this coincided with the visit that I made to the palace, Élysée Palace, 2 weeks prior to his arrival, where we discussed the results of the CM meeting, which was a meeting held in the Prime Minister's office, allocating a certain amount of funds and a plan of action for each territory. And just dealing with that, and also dealing with the need to have our organic law modified. So during the visit yesterday, we spoke about that in the closed door session with the Vice President, Dents, and also with his entourage, and where I spoke to him openly about, first of all, the fact that 43 million euros have been allocated to St. Martin for the next 4 years in terms of our investment program is a significant amount, yet based on our needs, knowing that we have suffered armor and we must reconstruct 3 stadiums, 3 cultural centers. We have to add to that the back road in the Savannah-Gallasby area. We have to also construct a senior citizen home. We have to also construct a new modern administration building for St. Martin, given the fact that our services are scattered all over the city in Marigot. So this, in our reasoning, when we add the figures, we are looking at 80 million euros in terms of subsidies. So he's saying that they have made an effort, because the last time the investment program, we were looking at 30-something million euros, so there's an increase of 11 million euros. So they are pleased with the effort that they are making. However, we decided to settle on that for now, but if need be, trust me, we will be knocking on the government's door for additional funds if again, the situation permits us to do just that. Outside of the investment program, we look at the need to have our institutional modification to our organic law. He's very open to that, because the President of the Republic also emphasized lengthily on the fact that there's no forbidden subject, and that is comment on dit en français, il n'y a pas de sujet tabou. So we can discuss. And he has an open period from November to February, during which time we could submit our proposal in terms of institutional changes to our existing organic law. We also look at the other areas where we're going to need support, whether it's financial or in terms of administrative or legislative adjustments. And I said that on numerous occasions, but as we move closer to the date, we are talking about taking over the fire station, bringing it back home, where we would have it managed by our own technicians and firemen. So that too is well underway. We're looking at purchasing properties to construct the roads, like I said, and we ask for additional funds to support our cars, because that too would be very expensive, purchasing land from the owners. And again, let me be clear on that. We do not see expropriation as an option. We believe that we have to spend countless hours discussing with the landowners in the Savannah area in order to get their sympathy and their commitment to sell us the amount of land needed for the back road and also for the Savannah Road, because again, given the fact that we are going to construct the college, we need to make some adjustment in that area as well in terms of traffic, in terms of making sure that we have all the lines in that area. The IPAD, which is the Senior Citizen Home, is an issue that we spoke about lengthily, because everybody concluded that yes, we have to reach out to the senior citizens and make sure that we spend time upgrading their living condition. And the only way to get that accomplished is via a new senior citizen home in the country. So, interestingly, the Simpson Mall, via Alan Richardson, is willing to take on that responsibility. So we can now seek the funding necessary to have that constructed within a reasonable period of time. So on a whole, we were very much pleased with the fact that he came, and he said rendezvous on the 23rd of November, where we would spend time outlining or detailing the content of the measures which was discussed in July with the Prime Minister, agreeing on some specific measures for St. Martin. So from that perspective, I'm pleased to know that we have the attention of the government, and instead of seeking confrontation, we are seeking meaningful dialogue, partnership, so that we could get the funds needed, coupled with what we can get from Europe to make the necessary adjustments and carry out a significant investment program over the next 5 years.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to keep in mind to help keep you and your family safe. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, with the peak occurring between mid-August and late October. This hurricane season, be sure to put together a go bag. A disaster supply kit including a flashlight, batteries, cash, first aid and supplies, medications, and copies of your critical information if you need to evacuate. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
In our top story tonight, the skies over the northern section of Barbados darkened during the afternoon and unleashed torrents of rain. So much so that the Met Office issued a flood warning for the area, eventually extending it to the entire island. The deluge flooded areas of northern St. James and Spicetown in St. Peter. Reports indicated that students of the Alexandra School in the heart of Spicetown were sent home early. The Barbados Fire Service was called in to pump the water out of the school, and according to sources, the pump at the school kept tripping the breaker. Deputy Director of the Department of Emergency Management, Captain Robert Harewood, toured the area, and he gave us this update.
The Department of Emergency Management received reports from both the public and our district emergency organizations of incidents of flooding in areas of Jackson, St. Michael, and the family there received water gel stacks using an inflatable standby. Reports from Plum Grove and Christchurch, Spicetown, including the Alexander School and Merlin in St. Peter, Weston, Westmoreland, and Wooltown in St. James, Borders, Darkhorn, and the East Coast Road in St. Andrew. A team did an assessment of the West Coast as far as Spicetown, and during this storm we found that much of the flood waters had already run off, but there were pockets of ponding and debris, particularly between Wooltown, going north towards Spicetown. Which should be a concern for drivers on that stretch, particularly going into tonight. The area really wishes to reiterate that in the event of flooding, persons should move immediately to higher ground out of flood waters. We should not walk through flood waters, as only 6 inches of flowing flood waters could knock a person off their feet. We should not attempt to drive through flood waters either, as vehicles could be swept away in only 2 feet of moving water. If your vehicle is stopped in rapidly moving water, stay inside the vehicle. If water gets inside the vehicle, we should seek refuge on the roof. Be aware of bridges, as torrents of water could impact bridges and anyone on them at that time. And please stay in tune with the Barbados Flood Services and the Department of Emergency Management for any further updates.